Now, students from Region A, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Zhang. I'm Paul from Form 7, one of the head prefects of this year, and I'm 18 years old now. Mr. Zhang, I'm very lucky that I've studied in MSC since kindergarten 1. In other words, I've benefited from the all-round education in MSC for 16 years. However, in our society, some teenagers, after turning 18 years old, are forced to discontinue their studies just because they are mentally handicapped. I'm short, as I think that such a policy totally deprives these pupils of their civil rights to education and their equal opportunities to improve their lives. I don't think that 12 years of free education is enough for them to complete their studies. As we all know, these students have learning difficulties because of their physical or mental conditions. However, they are dedicated in their learning and they're willing to learn. But the High Court's decision made these pupils and their parents feel hopeless. Mr. Zhang, these mentally disabled students need lots of resources to support their learning. And I believe that they are not able to finish their secondary education at the age of 18. They need time to fit with their peers, to catch up with their studies, to cope with all the tests, exams, and homework. I believe that if they are not properly equipped in school, the society may need to bear a higher cost in the future, as they may not be able to make their living by themselves. Mr. Zhang, would you consider changing the policy of EDB and extending the years of free education for these students from 12 years to 15 years? Also, can you and your colleagues reduce your salaries from 5.38% to 10% so that more resources can be allocated to help these students? This is only a humble suggestion, and I'm looking forward to reading your forthcoming policy address on this issue. Thank you so much for your time.
Student from Region B, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Zhang. I am Ray Yu from Primary 6. It is a good chance to greet you in this assembly today. Now, I want to focus on night pollution. I have a friend who lives in Mongkok, and he cannot sleep at night and cannot study well because there is a big advertisement neon sign outside his house which will not stop generating bright light until very late at night. For me, there is a park next to my flat, and there are too many bright lights shining like the sun at night. Although there are already low people around, it is definitely a waste of electricity. I would suggest that the government should pass legislation to force the shops to turn off their advertisement lights after, say, 10:30 p.m. or 11 p.m. in order to save energy and to curb light pollution. In addition, I think the government should also encourage the citizens to save energy and to protect our environment. I am too young to know what to do. Will you do something to fight light pollution so that my friend can sleep well and study well? Thank you.
Can we all give this young man, Wing Yu, a clap of hands? How clearly. I'm totally impressed by his diction, clarity of thought, and more lucidity in expression. Congratulations.
Thank you for your opinion. And now for students in Region C, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chang. I'm Shinka Kid, a Form 4 student. I'm 15 now, and I'll turn 18 3 years later in 2012. I'm wondering by then if I'll be able to choose and vote for my chief executive of my government, who is going to serve me, my friends, my family, and the society as a whole, I hope to find the answers in your coming policy address. Thank you.
Mr. Tan, please.
Well, thank you very much, Paul, for your very good ideas. Some very good ideas, some less good ideas. But anyway, they reflects your views. I have lots of sympathy for those who are suffering from mental handicap in getting through to the full secondary school programs. But unfortunately, for their programs of studies are not very well structured normally. They cannot be accommodated whether it is in 6 years in secondary level or 8 years or 15 years. Many of them will need different sort of treatment. But I agree with you, we have to look after them as much as we can. This is exactly what we're trying to do now. The problem is we have a limited number of teachers able to cope. We have limited resources to be devoted to this. And we have younger mentally handicapped students who want to get into that training program. If we allow the older ones to stay on after they have got, say, 12 years of education in secondary level and continue to stay on indefinitely, then the other ones, the new ones, younger ones, will not have a chance to even get into the program. So we have to make difficult choices in these days. But whatever we do, I agree with you, more resources need to be dedicated to this group of less fortunate people who may be an asset to the community. But then the question is, a balance should be struck somewhere. And we are trying to accommodate. Despite the court ruling, we do whatever we can to look after them. As far as cutting of salaries, this is not just say-so of myself, of my colleagues. This is a question of a system which the people must respect. How do you decide how much money that you should get, more money you should get, or less money you should have? That depends on how the system operates. And I believe the public sector should follow what is happening in the private sector. If the senior positions in the private sector have experienced a reduction in salary, say 5.8%, whatever it is, 5.3%, whatever it is, then the public sector should follow. It is not overdoing them or underdoing them. It's a question of system and a question of fairness at the end of the day. I've just spoken about Wing Yu's clear diction about excessive neon lights at night affecting people's sleep. It is a real issue for people living in Mong Kok. And I agree with you, this is something that we have to think seriously about and what we can do to help people. On the one hand, but on the other hand, we must make sure Hong Kong continue to be a glittering, a bright, and a charming city with its tradition of neon lights. But how we can do this to maintain its traditional attraction, but at the same time not to interfere with the sleep of our people. I believe some balance can be struck and some better solution could be found. Thank you. And about the Form 4 student, I can promise you, once by the year 2017, you will have a chance to vote for the chief executive. You have my word. That's the year in which March 2017 is the year in which you were able to vote for the chief executive. This is what the central government has promised Hong Kong, and this is a timetable to which we're working. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tan.